Hello students, welcome to P360. When you log into your Canvas course, you will start here and see a lot of resources that will be useful prep material for you. The first thing is the course syllabus, which is chunked out into all of its various units. There is also a course syllabus document that's available here. And also when you go onto Canvas and then you click the syllabus link on the left navigation bar, then you will also see the syllabus, which includes the textbook that you are going to be using, the grading structure for the course, the response information, the DSPS information, student support information, the tutoring lab, and of course the schedule of the work that you will be doing on a weekly basis. So when you see this, the first week when you start your course, you will be doing the orientation, which consists of a simple quiz, a discussion, and also a small orientation programming assignment. In order to access that, let's go to the orientation module. This course is module based, so if you go on to assignments here on the left navigation bar, you will miss a lot of the resources that have been prepared for you and are available to you in the module. And it may turn out that you will feel perhaps a sense of confusion about what you need to do if you go into assignments, but if you come into modules, then you will note that a lot of the expectations, the support, the videos, the templates, the tutorial documents, all of these things have been prepared and are structured and available for you to use here. So the first thing you would do is the orientation discussion, and then the orientation quiz, which is a kind of a, have you read your syllabus kind of thing, so you know how to reach me, and you know what the textbook is, and some of this basic information that will help you orient yourself towards this course. There is a simple orientation assignment, and the reason we have this assignment is for you to kind of refresh and review the work that you did in your P301, which is your prerequisite class before you come into this class. So I'm going to go into that, and as you can see, there's a bunch of stuff here. Typically, when you click into orientation for any of the assignments, you will see the document that outlines the specification for that assignment, templates or starter codes. All of these assignments that have been given to you in this course have template or starter codes. You will find that boilerplate code or useful functions have been written for you and are available to you, and you will need to enter some lines of code into a function that has been marked for you to complete. So that is a feature of this course. So you need not worry about writing code from scratch, but your task will be to look at the functional decomposition, and this is a kind of learning that will help you to write structured programs, handle large programs, and debug programs, and also to update software. So here is a lot of information for you. Now let me go into the orientation document. And also the other thing that I would like to mention is that once this video is available, it will be inserted into the assignment specification so that you will have this video available to you, which will help you to do your assignment. So the orientation lab or the orientation assignment is a simple prompt, which is input, process, output, exactly the same way as you did in your P301. Input information from the user, process it, and display the results. What you need to input? What you need to input is an integer. What you need to process is use this integer to check if it is divisible by 7. So as you know, if you divide a number by 7 and if there's a remainder, then it's not divisible by 7. But if when you divide a number by 7, the remainder is 0, then it is divisible by 7. So for example, 0 is divisible by 7, 7 is divisible by 7, 14 is divisible by 7, but 3 is not divisible by 7, and so on. So that's what, so it's not a super complicated formula, but the idea is to do this programming in a modular way using functions that you've used in P301. And that is the learning or the takeaway or the refresher in this assignment. So here we are going to, I will talk about hierarchy chart in a minute, but here are the three primary functions. A function called input number, which returns, as you can see, it inputs, it doesn't input anything, returns an integer, and the logic is given to you. Please enter an integer, enters a number from the console, basically using cout and cin and return statements of C++ to accomplish this task. Then what this function does, check multiple 7, is the one that takes in that integer, uses the formula to return true or false depending on whether it's a multiple of 7 or not. And display results, it takes in that number, and then if it is a multiple of 7, then the string that is passed to it says it is a multiple. Otherwise, the string says it's not a multiple. So three units called functions which perform this task of input, process, and output. The top level program or the app button that we are pressing is called run number check, and run number check is going to call input number followed by check multiple and then followed by the last method. So now this brings us to the hierarchy chart. So the hierarchy chart of this program looks like this. You've got this run number check. I'm just going to use a shortcut run number check, which is this function, which calls three functions to accomplish this task. So you've got the input number here, this one, and then you've got the check multiple 7, and then you've got the display results. So this is what a hierarchy chart looks like, and the reason we do this chart is for us to learn the skill of taking a problem, breaking it down into components, and then testing each component individually, joining these components together to solve the top level task here. And so your task is to use the template that's given to you, and we'll go into the template in a minute, and complete the template by inserting a few lines of code, running the program, making sure there's no syntax error or no logic errors, and then take these tests. So feed these numbers to your program and see if the output matches the one that's given to you. You need to take a screenshot of your output. Make sure that you take a screenshot of your output and insert it in a document and submit the document. You will be given grades or points for submitting screenshots of your test. So, and that is given in your grading rubric, which you can see here, and also in the rubric that's given at the end of your assignment. So as you can see, there's a detailed rubric which gives a breakup of the marks that are assigned to each part of the assignment, and this will also help you to keep these points in mind as you do your programming. Now, the hierarchy chart is partially complete and given to you. Your task is to fill the function names here and submit this document. And here, you would need to add your own testing. This is a sample testing that's given to you, but you need to add your evidence of testing here and submit this file. The other thing that you would need to use is the starter code. Now, here I will show you the starter code. This is a zip file. This is what your starter code looks like. It's a single file which consists of the include directives to do your input-output operation and to use strings. All the functions that you are now familiar with, the function headers are at the top of the program. This is called function prototyping in C++. And this is important because this allows us to use functions even before they are defined. What do I mean by that? I mean, here is our main program which runs the function run number check, which is the top level program. Now, if you ran this without the prototyping, C++ would say, I don't know what this function is or where this function is. By by including the name of this function as a prototype, we are contracting, or we are promising C++ that we will define this function, and it doesn't matter that if at this point you cannot find the function definition, you will find it later. So the function prototype comes at the top, the function definitions come at the bottom, and the main program comes in the middle. So you run this, call this function, and as you can see, this function, top level function, calls input number, calls check multiple 7, and then calls display results. So, so here you can see all the comments that are given to you to be able to complete it. I would just like to walk you through. You do not need to make any change to this. So no change needed for any of these to the run number check. So just leave, this method has been written for you. So just use as is. Now this one, the input number is something you need to write. And here we need to write 1, 2, 3, and 4 statements. How to do this? Declare an integer called input. I'm going to say, just recall from your CSP 301 that if you wanted to declare a variable, then what you would do is you would say integer x declares a variable called x. So you can use this cue to declare an integer called input. Display a prompt to user using cout, asking to enter an integer. What is the meaning of this? You could do this by doing standard cout, and this is, for example, please enter an integer. This is all you need to do. So I will leave you, actually let me cout, and as you know, everything needs to be in quotes. Please enter an integer, and then either you can use the new line character, which will give you the end of line, and then you can do semicolon. So this is a simple cout statement. Input the integer from the console, same thing, standard cin. This time the arrows are pointing this way, and if you declared something called x, then if you do cin x, then the user, when they enter, after looking at your cout prompt, when they enter an integer, then it's going to be fed in and saved into this variable called x. And then you would do return x, and this would get returned via this, the return value of the function back into the calling function, and get stored into my number. So that is the logic of the return statement. So I'm going to leave this for you to fill this, because now you have an idea. So now let's do the check multiple function. The check multiple function checks if the number that's been passed to it, i.e. the number that the user entered, if this is a multiple of 7 or not. Now, the way the if statement works, the syntax is if some condition is true, then statement 1 is executed, right? If you don't do anything, this still works. If you would like to add another clause, the else clause, so if this condition do this, if this condition is not met, then do s2, then the statement 2 gets executed. So how to build in the condition? For example, if I wanted to check if this number was greater than 0, for example, right? Number is greater than 0, then you're going to say return true, otherwise return false. Right? You could also check if this number is equal to 0. Right? So this is how conditions are built in C++, and there's a lot of resources in that I have pointed you towards. So if you're not familiar with the if statement, then you can for sure refresh your skills with building conditions. But so this is how to do check multiple 7 and display. And this one, the last method, I have written this for you because I wanted you to be all prepped for using a function that can display a string and a number. So this has been written for you. Now, you may in your P301 course have done IO manip, which allows you to do formatting of output, and that's something that is going to be done as the course progresses, but this one is just a simple function. So this is how you can use this template, and you can use the high chart and the assignment specification to complete this. So all right, let's go back here. So what do you need to submit? What you need to submit is your code, and you need to submit your, let's go back here. So what do you need to submit? You need to submit a Word document containing the hierarchy chart and testing evidence, and a text file containing the code. Please don't put your code into a Microsoft Word, because I will not be able to run it, and that will be a problem for grading. So name the file check multiple main.cpp. There's just one thing that I'd like to point out, that when you're done with the orientation assignment and you move to module 0, you will note that you have to use the same code that you worked on in this assignment. But note that all of this code is in one file. What you will be doing is separating this code into 3 files. So all of this part here above this line is going to go into a header file. This stuff is going to go into a main file. And then this stuff, which is at the bottom here, all the function definitions, all of this is going to go into the implementation file or the functions file. Functions.cpp file. So all you will be doing in your module 0 assignment or your module 0 lab is taking the code that you wrote here, basically the single file, and splitting it into 3 files. However, when you reach module 0, a template for that has also been provided for you, and all you need to do is take the code that you inserted here, take these functions, input number function and check multiple function, copy paste this into your module 0 assignment template, right? But your task is to examine the header file, examine the function file, examine the main file, and see how the separation has been done and what include statements need to be inserted there to make sure that when you compile these 3 files, you are able to compile and run the program. So once again, welcome to P360. I look forward to working with you this semester. There is a lot of help and a lot of support provided in the modules, and I'm available to help you and walk you through any review work that you need to do, or any assistance you need, or any questions you may have for me. Please be sure to make good use of your discussion boards, and every week there is a discussion. For example, there's an orientation discussion here in which you introduce each other, but if you look at the other modules, in each module there's a technical debugging discussion in which you can post an error that you're receiving, or a learning experience, or a challenge, and have this active discussion with your peers and do peer learning to help each other and to support each other technically and professionally in this course. Thank you.